Hi, everyone, and welcome to Events Reimagined. This is going to be a series conducted by GSD Solutions over the next few months, all about how we can reimagine and rethink what events look like, feel like, and how they are produced. My name is Georgie-Ann, and I'm the CEO and founder of GSD Solutions. I've been a part of the events industry for a very, very long time, starting with doing work in the space of theater. So after school theater programs, conducting theater shows, and then from there moving into in-person events such as hackathons, conferences, workshops, panels, meetups, you name it. I've done almost any kind of event that you could think of. In 2016, I started exploring virtual events and what they could look like and how they could be produced. I was pregnant at the time and I knew that I would need to be home more and I wanted to create a better virtual online experience. I personally hated online courses, hated online events because I didn't feel that it had the connections that in-person events could offer. It didn't have the value, it didn't have the insights, it just didn't give the emotions that in-person events could provide. And with that, I decided to start exploring what virtual events could look like. My starting point was with an organization called GSE, Global Startup Network, and and then what we did was a virtual online accelerator program. And through that, I was able to see how we could create connections online, how we could connect with more people and make those valuable, long-lasting connections. From there, I started doing more Zoom meetings, using GoToMeeting, Webinar Jam, and various platforms to reimagine and rethink how events could be. At the time, I was doing many, many in-person events, and I knew that would come to an end soon. So over the next 4 years, well, 3 to 4 years, I continued experimenting with virtual platforms, different softwares, different tools, camera services, broadcasting channels to figure out how can we reimagine, reimagine and reinvent how events could look in the virtual spectrum. And we were able to do that. In 2018, I held my very first online conference called the Get Shit Done Summit. And it was amazing. A lot of people from literally all over the world were in attendance, from Australia to the UK to the United States, various cities and states. And it was just so integral and important to see how we were all connecting virtually and the different gamification tools that we use, the different engagement tools that we use, and just how we were able to connect after the event using Facebook groups, Mighty Networks, and different channels to keep the conversation growing. Ever since then, I continued to explore virtual events, and I started my current company, GSD Solutions, back in 2019. And one of our services were virtual event production. It was going really well. People are reaching out for virtual events, but it was not at the rate that we would like it to. A lot of people that I contacted about, hey, we should do this virtual event, we should test it out. But people are still, like me previously, saying that in-person events is where you'll find the success. In-person events is where people gain value. They gain those connections. And I'm like, wait, no, it's possible to gain that same experience in a fully virtual ecosystem, a fully online space. So I continued to explore platforms and came across platforms like Hopin and Remo, where you were able to be immersed into these platforms, and other platforms such as Purple Virtual, Meet.io, and various immersive avatar-like platforms that really gave it that upper edge of how to use virtual events and do virtual networking and virtual conferences. So when the pandemic hit in 2020 and everyone was scrambling to do virtual events, I had that expertise already. I had been building it up for a few years. And so I'm like, hey, I'm here to help. GSD Solutions is here. We have you. We got you. We're going to help and figure this out all together. We started producing workshops and conferences and converting in-person events to virtual events for all of our different clients. And now we are about 18 months in to the pandemic, a little over that actually. And we've produced over 200 virtual events, everything from conferences to workshops to demo days to um, summits to just galas, so many wide variety of events. And we decided to put together this series called Events Reimagined to interview some of these amazing agencies that we've collaborated with and worked with, some of the different platforms and their founders that we've worked with, and just talk about and also reimagine what events will look like with not just our colleagues, but also sharing that with the world out there. Because every agency, every company, every nonprofit is thinking currently, what do we do now? We have the vaccine. We want to go back outside. We want to have these in-person events, but events are no longer just a flat spectrum. A flat panel. Events are now becoming more of a spectrum, right? We have to rethink what an in-person event looks like, what a hybrid event looks like, what a virtual event looks like. And so we wanted to start that conversation to talk about what these events will have looked like in the past, what they look like in the present, and what we have coming up in the future of events as a whole. So stay tuned into this series. We'll be airing it every Monday and Thursday for the next few months on various platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So definitely, if you want to get these updates of what episodes are coming up next, head on over to GSD Solutions.xyz, sign up to the Events Reimagined newsletter, and you'll get all of the content. We have some ebooks, some downloadable PDFs, some masterclasses, and a lot of content coming up for you to learn and see the future of events, as well as reimagine what events could look like. So stay tuned on these channels. We have actually 5 amazing sessions coming up today. So tune in if you can between your break. If you're watching the replay, definitely watch all of the series and save it to your computer to watch later. But thank you so much for joining us today for Events Reimagined. And the next panel will be starting in just a moment. Thank you all.